All right, this is February the 16th, 2014, and we have before us Flavia Adrete Figueroa, my mother, whose birthday was March 17th, 1918. She's almost about to celebrate her 96th birthday. She's doing wonderful, and we're going to do a little interview with her here, the beauty queen, and have her tell us a little bit about some of her first memories. What you remember in the very, very beginning, Mother. What do you first remember?
We would get up and wash our hands, our face, and go to the kitchen, have a bowl of cornflakes. If we had bananas, we'd put half of it. And after we had our breakfast, then we would go and make up the bed.
And who's we?
Well, my sister, Odelia, and I would go make up our beds.
Okay.
And then we would come, and Mother would tell us where our next job was going to be, what we had to do after that.
Okay.
So.
Did you have separate beds that you slept in at the time?
No. In fact, the double bed, three of us slept in it.
Three of you slept in the double bed. So your sister
Double bed in
Odelia.
the front bedroom.
Okay, and that's your sister Odelia and you and who else?
And Henrietta.
And Henrietta. Okay.
And then we would I was in charge of cleaning. Either clean the floors, mop them, dust, and then Mother would say, okay, if there's any washing to do, you get your clothes after you take a bath, or give yourself a good strap bath, because we didn't have enough water for all of us.
So who got the first hot water bath? The oldest?
The oldest one.
Okay.
And then the next one, and then the next. I was the fourth one.
Fourth one.
So I would see to it that I had clean water to bathe.
So you
And
changed the water after?
In a size 3 tub, we would put coal in, we would warm the water. And then we had a bucket that filled up with water, and a smaller bucket to rinse ourselves after we put the soap all over our bodies. And then we get out and go throw the water away and clean the tub for the next one that was going to take a bath.
And was this every day? You took a bath every day?
No,
or?
every 3 days.
Every 3 days, okay.
And then whatever Mother wanted us to do, we had to do. Either wash the dishes, soap and water, put them up in the cabinets, and then either clean the front room of the entrance to the kitchen, and the kitchen, and then we were ready for lunch. And after lunch, we could play.
Okay.
Well, play jacks.
Play jacks, okay.
That's our favorite game.
Where would you play that?
Well, on the sidewalks of the house in front, or on the side, wherever there was sidewalk, we would play jacks. And then later, we would play baseball.
Oh, really? You played baseball? I didn't know that.
And then after that, a few years later, Daddy was able to find used swings. So he put them up in the backyard.
Okay.
And then there was 2 families of colored kids. They lived close to us.
Okay.
So they would come to the fence. If I swing you high, will you let me go in and swing? And I would let him come for them to jump the fence and swing us.
Okay.
And we also had about 3 friends that lived around the neighborhood. So what we would do, I would sneak into the house and get a sheet and put it over a little place that Daddy had built near the water faucet, and we would cover it up like a little house.
Oh, okay.
And then we would go to the pomegranate. Is that the way you say it? We had a granado,
pomegranate
pomegranate.
plant.
And
Okay.
I would peel it all off and put it in a bowl and add salt. And
Ah.
there was our sopa de arroz.
Oh, so you were playing like you were eating a
Yeah,
meal.
like the comadres.
The comadres, all your friends and everybody
My friends
there.
were the comadres, and we would eat that as if it was sopa de arroz. And then we had the worst stomach ache. And Grandma Aurelia had to put grease on our stomach.
On top of your
With-
stomach?
No, get our stomach and put oil or grease, whatever she could find, with baking soda, so we could get rid of the colic.
So you drank that? You drank
No,
the
no,
oil?
she
She would just oil, just like a massage?
Like a massage,
Oh,
because
okay.
we didn't tell that we had eaten
The
that,
pomegranate.
thinking it was sopa de arroz.
Now, how old were you at
I
that
think
time?
I
Do
was
you remember?
about maybe 10 years old or 12, something like that.
Okay. So did you play mostly with your other sisters, since you had three older sisters?
Yes,
And then, but you also had some friends
yes, I had
that, in the neighborhood that you
Right.
stayed with, right?
3 friends that used to come.
Okay.
Play.
So tell that story about the ones that you would let come over the fence and your dad to
Yes.
swing you.
The 2 colored boys that lived across somewhere around the neighborhood. They would come to the fence. They would ask me, if I swing you high, will you let me swing? And Dad had prohibited us not to let them come in, because if they swung us too high, we could fall and break our leg or an arm. But I was stubborn enough to let them come and swing me. And then one day, Aunt Odilia tattletale and told Dad. So Dad came. And when I saw him, the 2 boys jumped the fence, and I jumped from the swing, almost fell. And I went all around the other way to the kitchen, and Daddy was waiting for me. And he had put gravel all around the front, the entrance of the back kitchen door. When he waited for me, that's when he hit me with his knuckles, and I fell, and I had big scratches on my knees.
On your knee.
And I started crying and asking Mother, look what Daddy did. He said, that's what you deserve for disobeying. He said, because you're not obeying like you should.
Mom, you had 10 brothers and sisters, 6 sisters and 4 brothers
Yes.
altogether.
Well, we were 7 sisters and 4 brothers.
Right, but you had 6 sisters
Right.
and 4 brothers. So did you ever feel hungry when you went to bed during those times? Because part of that was during the 20s and the 30s, so times were tough, the beginning of the Depression. Did you ever feel hungry?
Yes, I did, but our rule there at the house was to have breakfast, cornflakes, with either, we were able to have bananas. Lunch, we would have vermicelli and beans or rice, or once in a while Mother had ground meat, where she makes with potatoes, and for dinner it was either a sandwich or something light.
Okay.
That's what we had for dinner. I would go to bed a little hungry,
Sometimes
but
hungry.
that was it. We had to wait till the next day.
So that was a pretty tough struggle for your parents also, to feed all the children
Yeah.
and have all, and you,
She would cook 2 boxes of vermicelli for all of us.
yes.
They used a lot of potatoes, different ways that Mother could cook.
Where did your mother buy her groceries and things?
Well, at that time, before Daddy had the little grocery store, Paniaguas, it was just half a block from the
Right.
house.
And that's where you would go
That's
to
where
get
she
your
would
food.
go. And Grandma Aurelia, we didn't have a refrigerator. We had an old ice box that Grandma used to take us in the little wagon all the way to to this place where they sold the block of ice on Academy Street. And we would walk all the way with a little red wagon and bring the block of ice to put it in our refrigerator.
So that was about
That was-
probably around 2 or 3 miles
Yes.
away, and you went all that way in the wagon. And then how did you keep the block of ice from melting when you came back?
We just put it in the old refrigerator, and we would get the ice pick, and whenever we had to use a little bit of ice for our special drink at Mother's house was lemonade, and she would boil to make the tea, boil little bags or
Right.
to make iced tea.
But when you got the block of ice at the ice plant, and you brought it back in the wagon, sometimes it was hot. So how would you keep it from melting when you came back? Did you
Well,
put something over
there
it?
was nothing, just to put it inside, and
Did you? But on your way back
we covered it up with a dish towel.
with a dish towel, okay, to keep the
That's the
sun
way
off
Grandma
of it.
Aurelia used to do it.
Okay. And would it last all day?
It would last, oh yes, a couple of days.
Couple of days in that ice box. What I'd like to do is have you talk a little bit about your mother and father and your brothers and sisters. I want you to say a little bit about your dad, about his good points, good things about him, anything that you felt was negative, and then the same thing about your mother. And then I'm going to ask you the same thing about each of your brothers and sisters, so what your impressions of them were. So start with your dad. What was he like? What did you like about him?
Well, Dad wasn't actually too close to each one of us. I mean, he kept himself busy, but he would tell us what we were supposed to do and what we were not supposed to do.
Okay. Rules. He gave you rules.
He gave us rules, strict rules, not to go outside where some of the boys were playing baseball. We had our backyard. That's how he got those swings, youth swings.
So you
we
wouldn't
could
have to go
entertain
out.
ourselves. But our two special games were playing jacks and baseball.
Okay. All right.
We had a lot of playmates all around the neighborhood.
So he tried to keep you safe.
He did.
Okay.
And
Okay.
of course, Mother, she had our rules, what we were supposed to do. And we had to wash clothes, and we had to hang them and iron them. And I was the one that always loved starch, so I had to cook it,
Cook this.
and then get the strainer. And once I saw where it was on it, Mother would tell me, okay, now you can starch your clothes and hang them. And then the next day I had to iron them.
Yes. Okay. What was your mother's most endearing quality? What makes you smile when you think about her?
Well, what made me smile is that she always wanted us to comb our hair right, not just to get up without combing it.
So
Or
she-
else she would get Grandma Aurelia to comb us.
And Grandma Aurelia was
That's always there to
her
help Mother.
Her mother, Aurelia Guerrero de Pool Chubbuck. Okay. Okay.
And my brothers, like Herbert and
Start with Aunt Esperanza first. So let's just go in order. So we're going to
okay.
start with Aunt Hope, Esperanza, the oldest. What would you say about her?
She was there, and her main thing is to help Mother in the kitchen to cook. She and also Enqueta. But Enqueta married young, so she left El Rio.
So, but going back to Aunt Hope, Esperanza, and your interactions with her, what do you remember her doing most for you?
With us,
With you,
with
you
me,
personally.
she would see that I had taken care of my clothes, that I was clean, and then she would comb my hair, so I had real curly hair. And that's what she would do to me.
Both of you looked alike. You looked a lot
Right.
alike. And she was a pretty close sister to you, all through the years, because both of you ended up back in Del Rio where you were born. Right? Okay. All right, and what about Aunt Enriqueta? What was her most endearing quality?
And Kate, I don't remember much of what she would do, help in the kitchen and see that we had clean clothes on
But with you,
with
what
me.
do you remember? Did she play with you? Did you?
Yes, she did, but she didn't like to play too much with all of us. She
She
said,
was pretty
you
independent.
have your friends, so you play with your friends.
She was pretty independent.
Very independent.
Okay, and what about Aunt Odilia?
And Todilia, she did. We slept together in the same bed, and
You were 2 years apart.
a year and 10 months.
A year and 10 months, okay.
And she wanted to teach me how to bake because she was always very good at baking cakes. Whenever we had the flour and everything, she
Yes.
always wanted to bake cakes.
Uh-huh.
And was after me if I didn't obey Daddy, or Mother. She was always scolding me. But we got along all right. We played jacks once in a while.
Okay. All right, then what about Uncle Herbert? Then he was born after you. And I want you to just say not so much about what his job was, but actually how you interacted with him, how happy you were that he was born, finally a boy, and then to the family after 4 girls. But also, what was he like growing up?
Well, being the oldest of the brothers, he was always doing what Daddy told him, clean the yard and look after us, not to mix up with boys. He was there very strict, but he was good.
Did he have to chase off some of the boys that were coming around
Yes.
to see the girls?
Oh, yes. He did.
And how did he do that?
Well, he would tell the, okay, neighbors, it's time for you to go to your homes. It's enough playing, or enough being here with my sisters. And that's the way he was, but he was very nice.
Okay. And then Uncle Felipe, who was named after your dad, Uncle Phil, what was he like?
Well, he was almost like Herbert, in and out, And
Did they fight a lot?
no,
Uncle Herbert
They
and
got
Uncle
along.
Phil, they got along really well?
all right. Except when he didn't mind Daddy, sometimes, and Herbert would get after Phil and straighten him out.
All right. And then came along Uncle Cristobal, right? Your brother Cristobal. And what was
Chris
unique
was-
about him?
Well, he was more serious, very, like he felt that, in a way, I don't know why, he felt like Dad had more love, or how do you say it, to the other 2 brothers.
More affection to
More
the other
affection
to the other 2 brothers than him.
than him.
So he felt a little slighted.
He always felt like I'm the 3rd one, and it looks like my dad doesn't get as close to me as he would to.
Did he talk to you about that? What did he? Is that what he would say?
He
What
was
would he
young
say?
and said, and I said, well, I feel the same. Don't feel bad, Herbert, because I feel the same.
No, we were talking about Chris. Though. You said Herbert.
No, I meant Chris.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's all right.
Yeah.
So don't feel bad because you felt the same way because you were the 4th of 4 girls.
But I was very happy because after I was the 4th, and Daddy kept asking Mother, when are you going to have a son? Give me a son. And then Daddy called me the Queen. because after me, 3 boys were born, 3 brothers. And I always told that, and then Todilia would get so mad. You're always raving about you being the queen.
Okay, so now we have 7 children, and now the 8th comes along, and it's another girl. It's Cecilia.
Cecilia.
Yeah, so what do you remember about Cecilia?
But Cecilia was the kind of sister that always wanted to look better than any of us. She wanted to look outstanding,
She was proud of her appearance.
proud of herself. Oh, yes. She could put the curlers on and comb her hair by herself, which I couldn't do, and neither Angelia. So we were kind of upset about that. But she said, anybody who wants to learn can learn.
Okay. Very good. Okay, and then your next sister, another sister, right?
Lydia.
Maria Livia. And
I had to see that her clothes were clean and pressed, and I used to comb her because she was always complaining that how come she didn't have curly hair. And so one time she said, I'm so tired of the way my hair is so straight and nothing to be done about it. So I said, I can trim it for you, cut it for you. Oh, can you? Please do. And I went and got a bowl from Mother's kitchen, set it on top of her head, and went all around the bowl, made a mess out of her. She cried for a whole week, couldn't look at herself in the mirror.
so you were taking care of her like and hoped to care you.
Yes.
Everybody was. Okay. All right, and then you had another boy, brother, Jorge Alfonso. What was he like?
He was a cute boy and a cute brother. And he seemed to get along with all of us and played with us, you know.
He
whenever-
was the ring bearer in your wedding,
Yes.
so there was quite a bit of age difference.
And he
there.
was an outstanding football player also.
At Del Rio High.
Del Rio.
All right, and then the final girl, Dolores, named after your mother.
She was a spoiled brat.
Ah!
Since she was she was. We all had to spoil her. She couldn't stand for us now. Oh, if ever we scolded her, she would run over to Mother and to Dad. Flossie scolded me, Henrietta, Adelia scolded me. Scold them too, Dad. She was just very spoiled. Wanted her way because she was the last one.
Did she know that she was the last one? I mean, with so
Yes.
many children, how do you know you weren't going to have another 12?
That was,
That was it. Huh?
and that's when I told my mother, when she was expecting Dee, she got us all around a ring and told her we either were going to have a brother or a sister. And that's when I was all upset and got mad. And I said, if you're going to have another one, have twins and make it 12. And oh boy, when we celebrated his mother's birthday, Chris got me to the podium to go and say that I was sorry that I told my mother.
Yeah.
I was sorry to Dee that I loved her and she was my sister.
Okay. All right, so we're just about down to the end. I'm going to have you say something about Dad. What are some of the things that you really admire Dad for?
Well, in a way, I admire him because he always confided in people and tried to explain things, you know, how to do. He was always correcting me in my Spanish, and sometimes I liked that, but sometimes I was upset because he kept correcting me words that I wasn't speaking